Hey guys, welcome back to SiV Ministries. Another vlog video here. Today we are checking out this free Festiva. This guy lives about an hour away from us. Had this post up on the group. I think basically he was midway through an Aspire brake swap. Ended up snapping some bolts up front. A bunch of other small issues he had with the car. Wanted to switch to a different hobby, so he just wanted it out of his garage as soon as he could get it out. So we stopped by and picked it up. I haven't tried to start it or anything yet. Basically, we got it slapped back together enough to roll it up onto the trailer, got it here, rolled it off the trailer, and this is where it's been sitting ever since. He said it had some rust, so I wasn't sure how savable it would have been. So you can see, like, it's definitely got some holes in the rocker and stuff. So down here, there's a rear hole in the rockers. Up front, the sill has basically completely separated and kind of collapsed into itself. However, the rear beam mounts are actually looking pretty solid. I'll come down here and you can see most of that metal is still there. The same on the other side. You can see up in there all the bolts and some real metal. So I think this car has some promise. Oh, hi Finn. That's Finn, the friendly neighborhood kitty. He likes to stop by and hang out when I'm doing stuff outside. So you can see in the back, we've already got Honda wheels on here because he did finish Aspire swapping the rear, but up front still has Festiva stuff. And while we were towing it, like this one, the lower control arm came out and jacked that wheel all up. On this side, you can see the sway bar is actually completely out of the control arm, and it pulled the axle out, and it's leaking a bunch of trans fluid. But other than that, it seems pretty solid. He said it hasn't been started up in a while, so I've had the battery on the battery tender. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to throw the battery in and see what it'll do. Okay, I went ahead and checked the oil, made sure it had oil in it before we get it started, made sure all the vacuum lines were hooked up, no major vacuum leaks. Battery's on, keys on, all the lights and the gauges are on. So I guess we're gonna give it a try here. Make sure it's in neutral, since that axle's kind of sticking out, and see what it does. Hey, it started right up. Sounds pretty good. Definitely a little loud. I have a feeling the exhaust is either A, not bolted all the way up, or B, has a hole in it. But I'll kind of let it warm up here, make sure the cooling fans come on and see how hot it gets and such. I'll give it a little rev here. Had a little bit of a misfire there, but it cleared up after a couple revs. Oh yeah, a lot of good smoke here. Definitely a B3, no doubt about that. All right. Well, while that warms up, I'll see if I can kind of show you guys around the inside a little bit. I don't know how well the mic's going to pick me up when I'm standing that close to the engine, but you guys can see from the engine bay, it's actually pretty clean up top. Like, there's not a ton of rust up here. The strut tops are pretty clean. That little black section up top with the paint on it, there's still a good bit of paint on there. None of the bolt heads are super rusty. The valve cover's not all gross. These brackets here typically get super gross on rustier cars, but that one's got some on top, but overall not too bad. And the keen-eyed among you may have noticed already this little diaphragm up here. Apparently this does have an aftermarket cruise control system. I actually looked up the other day, it's got an Equus 9000. The guy said it used to work. He's not sure if it does still. He said he actually, there we go. He said he actually unhooked it because when he was driving like up hills or whatever, or if you go to downshift, it would stop at nothing to get you back to your old speed. So he said he'd be driving down the interstate and it would just completely hammer the throttle to get you back up to where you have it set. And he didn't like that very much, so he slowed it back down. But for being an L, looks like somebody has actually already put some goodies on here. Like these door cards, for example. These are from a 1990 L+. You can tell because it's got that tweed insert here and the map pockets on it. And it's got power mirrors from an 88, 89 LX. Actually, he's got the switch in here too. I'm gonna see if these work real quick. Hey, that one works. How about the other side? Yep, that one works too. Awesome. So we got fully working power mirrors. This is the controller for the cruise control. We've also got a TAC cluster from an 88 or 89 LX. No AC, no radio. Some wires in here, mostly going to nowhere, so I'll see if I can wire something into there. And then we've got a full tan shift console from an 88 or 89 LX. So that's a nice feature to have. And then it looks like we still have the standard 90 to 93 L seats. So you can tell because they're vinyl on the side with just a standard cloth inside. Let's check out the build date and stuff. So down here, we got the build sticker. I know it's sideways, but not much I can do there. So this one was built, actually, we just missed its birthday, it looks like. Then we got, let's see, color code SB, so that's came in green, which is this color. And it's funny because I'm looking at my phone right now, this looks much bluer on my phone than it does in person. But in general, this color always kind of looks like a weird mix between blue and green. And we've got one window that has no tint on it because he said when he got it, one of the windows ended up breaking, so he had to replace it with one that didn't have the tint on it. It's got the usual dents in the side from, typically this is when people try to show off about how light these cars are, or they'll go in the parking lot, high schoolers kind of try to pick it up. If you try to pick a Festiva up from right here on the fender, it will actually pop the metal up top. Never, ever, ever pick your Festiva up from the fenders. Don't let your friends do it. Don't let some guy on the street do it to see how light it is. Just don't pull it from there. Bad idea. Then coming back to the hatch, we can see, actually it doesn't have a ton of rust on the usual spots. So the hatches really like to rust out here on the edge and then right here. So that's where the little clips and the spot welds are. So when water gets behind that seal, it starts to rot it out from inside. It does have one little spot there, and I think it had one, yeah, right up here by the license plate mount. That one's actually getting kind of deep, but nothing crazy. Another like small little paint spot there and paint spot there. But overall in pretty good condition. The bumpers, while faded and gross, are fairly straight. This one's got a little bit of a dent in it and some small scratches, but nothing that bad. Going inside here, looks like your standard 90s Festiva interior plastics where they get all scuffed up and scratched. That's pretty typical. No rear seat. He said he tossed it out and didn't know where it went, and that's fine. If I want to run one, I have more laying around somewhere, I think, or I might just leave it off, who knows. And then we've got another Festiva stock alloy from the rear, and then the other stock alloy up here, and then two more of those Honda wheels if I ever finish the front Aspire swap. And he actually, in that box, is a set of Aspire knuckles that he gave me. He said they were really rough and need completely rebuilt, but I should have all the tools to do that here at the house. And then same thing up here, a bunch of more broken up plastic and just torn up stuff. It's not in bad condition though, overall. And as we load on the trailer, this replacement window, the screw stripped out for this button, so I have nothing's actually holding the rear window on right now. So I'll have to replace that little bolt. Looks like the third brake light is still just barely hanging on. Taillights seem to be in decent condition, so that's cool. Over to this side, you can see more of the rust down here. Same thing as the other side, basically. The sills are just super rotted out for what they are. This one starting on the door as well. Come to the inside, and you can see there some of that door rot. Nothing too crazy though. Got some more of the interior parts here, like the e-brake console, and looks like a used flywheel, a staple gun. The e-brake's actually currently not attached. Part of him when he's doing the brake swap, just never got to finishing that part up. No problem there. Some floor mats. We got a bunch of the hardware from the front swap that he did when he broke that one piece. I think, yeah, here they are. There's your 2 strut bolts just snapped clean in half. So, and then it looks like here's the other half. So I should have more of those though. No big deal. And even though it's an L, it does have a factory radio antenna. You can tell the difference between factory and dealer because the factory antenna is black plastic. The dealer antennas are actually like a chrome metal part. Going back inside real quick. It's been running for a little bit now. It's starting to build just a little bit of heat. Idling about 800 or so that's looking pretty good. I'll go ahead and give it another rev, see how it sounds now that it's been clearing up for a little bit. This thing sounds pretty healthy. A lot of smoke again. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick all that up, but it's just blowing right past me. But again, typical for a B3. So I think probably what I'm gonna do is make this my winter car for this winter, since I'm trying to keep the rust off of, you know, my nicer Festivas. Our winter's been pretty mild here in Lexington. I think they only salted like 3 days last year, so hopefully this one, even though I'll be driving in winter, won't suffer too much more rust. And I've got some fluid film, and I've got access to a heated car wash, so even though it is rusty, I'll still be doing my best to keep it on the road. You know, I don't want to see any Festiva die unnecessarily. But yeah, we'll probably start off by either reverting this back to Festiva brakes to make the e-brakes and stuff work better, since I have a spare beam, or I might rebuild those Aspire knuckles and go ahead and finish this thing's Aspire swap. But either way, the front needs some attention since it's still not quite bolted together and all that. Then I'll probably leave the exhaust as is since it's not too loud, get some sort of radio in there, and then start cleaning it up. Get the whole thing washed off. This paint actually does not have a whole lot of clear coat fade on the top layer, which is pretty uncommon. Typically, almost all the metallic colored Festivas have a ton of clear coat damage. Like you can kind of see on the grill already, all that cracking clear and where it's kind of like flaking off. But it's surprisingly good up on the hood, and so what I can see, pretty good on the roof too. So I'll get this thing cleaned up. Sad that, I mean, same thing again, it's got the strongman dent. This one was creased hard enough to pop the paint, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, I'll probably be doing some more vlog type videos of this thing, taking you guys along with me, and seeing how well we're gonna store something that's been kind of, you know, left to the dirt. So as always, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.